Hey guys, hope you've been having a great week. Super exciting weekend coming up. Not only do we have the AFL Grand Final tomorrow and the NRL Prelim Finals, but we also have Group 1 racing from Moonee Valley tonight and also Group 1 racing from Rosehill tomorrow. And since it being Friday afternoon, I've already just sent out all the bets for tomorrow's racing, and the plays for Moonee Valley tonight are already posted, plus the football bets. Thought it would be a good opportunity to put together a video and just go through some analysis of the Group 1 races. So we're going to look at the Manikato Stakes, which is race 7 at the Valley tonight, and then also the Golden Rose at Rosehill tomorrow, which is race 8. I'm going to go through some of the factors that I look at, how I analyze horses to determine which horses in a race I want to back, or which horse in a race I want to back, and the things that I look at to do that. Also, go through and break down, similar to the way that you'll see it inside the racing show, of how I go through and analyze horses. Also, right now, the racing show, I brought back the 50-unit profit guarantee. So if you join up for the Spring Carnival across the 3 months, and we don't make at least 50 units profit. So if you're a $50 bettor, that's $2,500 profit. If you're a $100 bettor, that's $5,000 profit. Then you get an additional 3 months free. I'll go in, extend your membership for a whole nother 3 months. Over the past 3 years, we've averaged just under 40 units profit per month, going back to October 2021. So if you've been considering joining, now is literally the best time. I've made that offer available for new members joining up till the end of September. So you have until Monday to lock in, join as part of it. But obviously you want to get in ASAP so you get the Valley plays for tonight and then all the Saturday racing bets tomorrow as well. The link is in the description. You can go through, join the racing show, set up your account, you get your login details, and then you can go through and access all the information that you need from there. So looking at these races that I wanted to preview. So firstly, at Moonee Valley tonight, the track is currently a good 4, and they have the rail out 3 meters. So one of the first things I do is I go back and look at previous meetings at that track when the rail was in that similar position. And we need to go back to February was the last time they had the rail out 3 meters at Moonee Valley. And they had 8 races that day. 4 of those races were won by the leader, and then a number of other races were won by horses settling in the first 4. There's only 1 race that was won by a horse that didn't settle in that position. So that straight away tells us it's going to favor more than likely horses on speed. And the Valley generally does do that. Sometime in the further out the rail gets, the more it favors on speed horses. But going back through those reference points with the rail out 3, we can expect it to be playing fairly on speed. The other thing I look at, just especially for members, is breaking down the track map and looking at where the different starting positions are. So here you have the finishing post, and you'll notice the 1,200 meter starting position this is where they start here. They come around down the side of the track and then onto the home straight. You notice Moonee Valley only has a very short home straight. And then the key thing you want to look for is just be cautious of any starting positions where they start on a bend. Moonee Valley doesn't really have any of those, so you don't have to worry about it too much. The 1,000 meters start through the chute, then around onto the bend, onto the home straight. So you don't need to worry about that as much, but certain tracks, you definitely want to pay attention to that. So race 7, the Group 1 Manikato Stakes. Bringing up the race. And the cool thing about analyzing horse racing is I've been doing this for over 10 years full time. And for anyone wanting to analyze races, you don't need any fancy software. Like if you learn the things to look for, you don't need to be paying thousands of dollars per year for information when you can get everything you need from the general form guides. Obviously, there's things like there's additional information that you're going to get by doing that, but you really don't need to. You can build up your skills and use the normal form guides to do your analysis and still make a hell of a lot of money. Over the past 3 years, just in the racing show, we're just under 1,400 units profit. So $100 bettors during that time, it's almost 140 grand over the past 3 years. Betting $100 units on horse racing on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So definitely you don't need to go out spending thousands of dollars on any fancy software. And that's why I created this channel. I originally created this channel focusing on the football, NRL, AFL throughout the year. But during this off season, during Spring Carnival, I'm going to be posting a fair bit more horse racing content, especially because horse racing is so profitable. So the Manikato Stakes, so it's over 1,200 meters. It's a Group 1 weight for age race. That means that every horse is allocated a weight that they carry dependent on their age. Top weight being 58 kilos in this race, and then a bottom weight, Hayasugi carrying 50 kilos. So then we get a general idea of the weights that they want to carry. Next thing I look at, because now I've already, determined the kind of expected track pattern, I want to look at where these horses are expected to settle. So looking at the speed maps, this just gives us a general indication. And, these kind of races, we already know how these horses tend to settle, but this just gives us a mental image of where the horses are expected to settle. So being Group 1 sprint race, generally expect an average tempo or better for the most part. The interesting thing about this race is you'll notice the horses that want to go forward. So Recommendation, Growing Empire, and Estriella. They're all the horses that are expected to be up on speed. If we come back over to the form analysis, you'll notice those three horses. So Estriella, trained by Kira Ma, then Growing Empire, trained by Kira Ma, and where's the one I missed? Recommendation, also trained by Kira Ma. So the three horses that are expected to be out in front in this race are all trained by the same trainer and from the same stable. That means those three are not going to chew each other up and set a crazy tempo. The only way we're going to get a super fast tempo in this race is if another runner wants to go forward. The most likely of those is probably V8. It has that bit of early speed. And then Johnny Rocker does have the blinkers on and is drawn out wide. Potentially, its only chance in this race is to go forward. So those are the only two that I can really see adding that bit of extra tempo that could set this race up for swoopers out the back. If those horses don't go forward, then your horses like Growing Empire and Estriella are going to be very, very hard to catch. I Wish I Win, who's currently $5, comes out of a fast finish in the Moya last start when running 5th over 1,000 meters. The extra 200 meters is definitely going to suit it, but does have a tricky draw and is going to drop back. So it's going to need that tempo to be able to run over the top of them. And it's also going to need the track to not be really favoring on speed horses. So it does have a couple of things against it. But it was a really good finish in the Moya Stakes over 1,000. I'll bring up the replay of that race so you can see that here. So this is the Moya. So you notice I Wish I Win was a touch slow out of the barriers. Estriella, who's also near the top of the market, was 3 wide up on speed in this race. And if we just skim through a little bit, they went fairly slow here. So it wasn't a super fast run. Mornington Glory, who led the race, was the eventual winner. So I Wish I Win really wasn't suited back in the field, trying to make up ground from there, and did bring back a stack of ground over those final stages. If we watch these final few hundred meters, so you notice here, as they come around the bend onto the straighting, this is the same track. It's only a 200-meter straight. You notice I Wish I Win running on here. Estriella number 6, just there in 4th position as they cross the line. And then the other fast finisher from this race is Hayasugi, which is the horse here in the gray and purple silks, ridden by Jamie Carr. This horse, it comes with a run alongside I Wish I Win. So it's another one of the horses in the market here for the Manikato. So a really nice finish there by Hayasugi. It's drawn barrier number 2 and gets in with 50 kilos. We bring up the form for Hayasugi. It was only first up, but coming into this race, carries the 50 kilos once again. My concern with Hayasugi is the map. Drawn in barrier number 2, it's a horse that drops back, and you'll notice last start, it went around to come around the field. I don't think it's going to be able to do that in this race. You can see drawn down here in barrier number 2, doesn't have that early speed. It's going to be at least 3, if not 4 pairs back, unless it just absolutely springs the barriers, which is unlikely. So it's going to need an absolutely picture-perfect run from Jamie Carr to get up and win this race. So the way I'm analyzing this race overall, if we get an average tempo out in front, or even if they get control out in front, it sets it up for Growing Empire and Estriella. If they go really quick, then it sets it up for I Wish I Win to be running over the top out wide, and Hayasugi will need to get the splits through the field. Those are the ones at the top of the market. The horse that I feel like is the best winning chance is currently favorite. It's just under the $5 mark. That is Growing Empire. When I analyze this horse's form, Going back through, it has previously won at the Valley over this distance, over the 1200 meters, and did lead that day with 58 kilos on his back. This is obviously a Group 1 race, so significant, like 3 levels harder than a listed race, but only carries the 52 kilos. Then went to a Group 3 over in Adelaide and was a 4.5 length winner there with 57.5 kilos, so rising in grade. Then this preparation resumed in a Group 3 at Caulfield with 58.5 kilos. Mark Zahra rode that day and won the race by 1.3 lengths, but easily could have won by 4+ lengths if it was fully tested. Then dropped back in distance, which is interesting and not really ideal, but dropped back to 1100 meters at Flemington. This was down the straight in listed grade and won that race by 1.3 lengths. And the thing I really liked about this run is when it was back in distance, at first Stettler was there on its outside, ready to challenge it about 200, 250 meters out. But when Zahra asked this horse for an effort, took that couple of strides, then really went into top gear and kicked right away to win very, very comfortably and was strong through the line. Back up to the 1200 meters now, dropped 6.5 kilos going into a Group 1 race. But from barrier number 7, maps in a really perfect position. It's either going to lead this race if it'll come across outside recommendation, and depending on the stable tactics, Craig Williams will then take up the running, or he'll elect to park outside recommendation. I do think Growing Empire will likely lead this race because I think they'll want Williams to go forward, and which will allow Estrella to come and sit on the outside. Obviously, there's no guarantees that's how it's going to play out on paper. And that's why when you're betting, you want to manage your bankroll and stake accordingly. But the way this race sets up with those 3 stablemates out in front, Growing Empire should get every possible chance. In with the lightweight, Williams to ride. So he takes over from Zahra. Zahra is riding up in Sydney tomorrow. But also Mark Zahra can't ride the 52 kilos either. So that's obviously the reason for that. And yeah, with that control out in front, Growing Empire, obviously a 3-year-old, this is its toughest test so far. But what it's done so far gives every indication that it should handle this test. The other thing I like about Growing Empire is the blinkers going back on. So that's how I'm going through and analyzing the Manikato. And then the Group 1 Golden Rose over at Rosehill on Saturday afternoon. The track is currently a heavy 8, so there isn't that much more rain predicted for Sydney between now and race time. So the track should dry out a little bit. This is an interesting race because you have majority of the field all coming through the same race last start. It was won by Traffic Warden. And then you'll notice a Node who was just beaten in 2nd, Stormboy in 3rd, Linebacker in 4th. Then you had Emirate in 5th, Tropicus in 6th, and Fearless in 7th. That was pretty much the top. That is the top 7 past the post in that race last start. It was a Group 2 on this track over the 1200. All those horses are making the step up to 1400 meters. Majority of them were either first up or second up going into that race. Stormboy was favorite when they ran that race. It was $1.90 SP, as you can see just there. Majority of that field also dropped in weight, 1.5 kilos, especially those at the top. Node rises 1 kilo, who ran a close second, so it's not as well suited, going up in grade, rising in weight. The horse that won, Traffic Warden, sat back and ran over the top. Zach Lloyd off Ben Mellon comes up for the ride. Ben Mellon, in my opinion, is a very, very good jockey. So definitely doesn't lose anything with that jockey change. Stormboy is the interesting runner. As I said, was $1.90 favorite in that race and did miss the start. It was slow away. Didn't really get the best out of the start. If we bring up the replay of that race, see when they get away here. Stormboy was second last out of the gates there. Emirate was also really slow away, and no jumps well. But you notice here, Stormboy, Adam Hornos could have elected to take a sit during those early stages, but he elects to push on. And this here uses up a lot of energy to then go all the way to the front and lead this race. From this starting position, they're only just getting to the bend now. So he does have that bit of time on a straight track. So it's not, terrible as if they're going around a bend and trying to do that. Still did have to use up a lot of energy. Traffic Warden, who won the race, settled back here in 6th. Was camping a few pairs back in behind the speed. And as they come around onto the home straight, Anode gets off the heels of Stormboy. Traffic Warden wanders about a little bit in the straight here, but levels out over the final 200 meters to get up and win this race over the final few strides. Stormboy stuck on well there into third position, beaten just under a length. Looking at that race, realistically, the only two horses that are likely to be the two horses that are the main challenges, in my opinion, coming through that race are Traffic Warden and Stormboy. I'd be leaning to the way of Stormboy. The other runner that we haven't mentioned yet is currently favorite for this race. And that is number 1, Broadsiding. This horse is coming off a Group 1 up in Brisbane at the end of last preparation over 1,600 meters. Made a mess of them, winning by over 4 lengths there. Carried 57 kilos in that Group 1 race. Carries 56 here. Is coming into this race first up. Has had 2 trials. Firstly at Rosehill over 900 and then at Hawkesbury over 1,000. Ran second in both of those trials. And when you're watching trials, the thing you want to look for is how hard ridden they are. First of all, to see, how much more upside they had off of that trial, because sometimes, they can run second, third, fourth, fifth, or whether in behind horses being asked to do no work. And that trial can have a lot more merit. So never go just purely off finishing positions in trials. Both these trials from Broadsiding were really, really nice. McDonald was on board for both of them. He's on board for race day and gets barrier number 1 here. So Stormboy probably has to work across from that wide draw to get to the front once again. And then you also, Traffic Warden drawn wide, likely has to drop back from there and end up in a similar position to last start. Broadsiding will do absolutely no work from this low draw. So I think that offsets a little bit of the fact it's first up coming into this race, whereas the others have that little bit of a fitness edge. And from barrier number 1 will be a matter of it getting clear running, but with McDonald steering, you generally don't have to worry too much about that. And the other main thing to consider for this race is the conditions. It's currently a heavy 8, likely be in a soft 7, maybe soft 6, probably at best kind of range. And so you want to look at which horses can handle those conditions. So Broadsiding's 2 from 2 on soft and 1 from 1 on heavy. So there's never been defeated from 3 goes on rain affected tracks. Traffic Wardens had 2 goes on rain affected for 2 seconds in each of those starts. Stormboy ran first on a soft track and then didn't place, ran 4th on a heavy track. So if we go through and quickly find that run to just identify, it was this run here at Randwick on a heavy 8 when it ran 4th. This run here, just from memory, was caught out 3 wide without cover. So was a touch unlucky in that race. So yeah, this race, you can go, like, your options kind of are to go with the Traffic Warden and Stormboy form lines. I think they're the main 2 you'd favor coming out of that race. And then, or you can go with the fresh form of Broadsiding, who brings a really good Group 1 Queensland form into this race, first up of 2 trials and soft run from barrier number 1. So that's how I go through and analyze these races. If you want all my selections, join the racing show. I'll put the link to the page where you can go and create your account in the description. When you click that, it'll bring you to this page here. You can watch this video, which it explains. I recorded it about a year or so ago, which explains the racing system more in depth of what I'm doing. Then you can go through, look at all the different results. You can click on the results here to see the full summary of the results, and then go on and go through every single bet that we've ever had. Just give it a minute to load once it loads. So view the detailed bet summary. So this is where you can go through and see every single bet that we've ever had since the beginning of the racing show. From here, then all you need to do when you're ready to join is click start now, and then go through and create your account. Pick the option, whichever one that you want to do. As part of the guarantee, not only do we have the 100 unit profit guarantee for 12 months, but also you get the 50 unit profit guarantee for the spring carnival. So through to the end of November, we don't make at least 50 units profit, then you get your membership extended for an additional 3 months free. So that'll take you all the way through to the end of February, which covers all the summer racing as well. And you'll be right there ready for the autumn carnival following on from that. My goal during the spring is to achieve 100 units profit. Right now, we're just under 20 units profit so far through this period. I think it's 17 and a half from the top of my head. We have 4 plays tonight from Moonee Valley. And then 20 bets, including the three-leg multi across the Saturday races, across the 5 tracks that we're focusing on tomorrow, which if we come back over here, are going to be Rosehill, Sandown, Toowoomba, Belmont over in WA, and then Morpheville. So 20 bets across those 5 different tracks. And you notice that I'm not betting into every single race. If you do that, you're going to lose money. We're going through and identifying the races using very, very similar. And obviously, when I'm doing it on my own and go through a more in-depth process, watching more videos of all the different horses and really studying the form of every horse. But we don't need to make this an hour-long video doing that. I wanted to give you guys an overview look at what we're doing. But to do that through all the races and then identify which ones that we actually want to bet into. Because for that process like that we just looked at there, I can go through that and determine that there's no horse in that race that I want to back, or I look at a race and see there's 5 horses I want to back, and in that case what I do is I decide not to bet into that race at all, because unless I can narrow the race down to at most 3 chances but ideally 1 or 2, then I'm going to stay out of that race and look for a better betting opportunity. That's the reason we've been able to get such good results, not just over the past 3 years but over the past 10 or so years as well. So definitely check out the racing show. It'd be awesome to have you guys in there as a member. Now's the best time to join with that 50 unit profit guarantee. And I'm doing my absolute best to make sure that I hit that for you guys who've all joined up. Make sure we clear at least the 50 units profit, but realistically aiming for the 100 units profit, because during like this period, I want everyone to be making at least the $5,000 and building up that bankroll. So as we go into Christmas and then next year, you're really building up a betting bank to make 2025 a really profitable year. Hopefully you've been watching the other videos throughout the year on sports and you're learning like what you can do when it comes to analyzing sports with the statistics and determining what bets you want to put on from doing that. And now doing the same thing for horse racing. And, during this 4, 5, 6 months before football season rolls around again, really cash in, build up that bankroll. And now's the best time to do it. Spring has the best racing for horses. There's the most prize money. You'll notice the Group 1 tomorrow is $1 million race. The Group 1 tonight is $2 million prize money race. And most of the races are all a few $100,000 or above. And then tomorrow there's lots of a few $100,000 races as well. And as we get further into October and then early November, that prize money keeps on going up. Not that that really matters that much to us, but the best thing about it is that everyone there, every horse there is there to win those races, so you can really analyze those horses on their merit. So hopefully this video has helped give you some insights if you're analyzing those Group 1 races tonight and tomorrow, and gives you an overview of like what we're doing when analyzing races. Because I've seen over the years lots of different tipping services, and people will just put out random horses with no real reasons why. In particular, like I make such a big deal about explaining the reasons why. Like for every meeting I record a 20 to 50, 60-minute video breaking down why I'm backing each horse, so all the members know like why they're putting this bet on. It's not just, well, because Reese said to back it, I'm going to put it on. They not only know that I'm personally backing it, they know why I've decided to back that horse in that race. And then they also know that when they're watching that race, what they're expecting to happen. They're expecting to see where it's going to settle in the run. They're expecting to see which horses are out in front, what the tempo is, and what kind of needs to happen for that horse to then win that race. So it's full understanding of the bets that you're putting on. And if you're taking this seriously and you actually want to make money, that is the way that you need to do it. And the other thing that makes it really, really easy is all the bets you get the day before. So for tomorrow, everyone already has the bets. I've just sent them out before I recorded this video, so everyone's able to lock them in later this afternoon or tonight, or if they want to leave it till tomorrow morning, you can do that as well. But you got plenty of time, even if you're busy, to then put all the bets on. You don't need to be missing the grand final tomorrow trying to bet on the horse racing to be able to still follow the selections. I remember last year watching the grand final, I had the horse racing on one screen and then the grand final on the other to make sure I could keep up with the races. But of course, you've already locked in all your bets, so you're not, glued to your phone trying to do that. That all being said, I'd love to see you guys inside the racing show. If you have any questions about it, comment them under this video. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, or send through an email to support@investor.bet.com.au, and I can answer your questions about how it all works if you have any further questions. But I'll try and put out videos to answer as many different ways of looking at it as we can. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Hope you guys have a profitable weekend. Take care, guys.